Okay, guys, I'm back. It's kind of, I mean, it's not super late at night, but I kind of wanted to make an amendment to my the video that I just uploaded that was called Third Opinion. What was it? Second, Third Opinion? Third Exosomes Opinion, something or other, about the doctor that I spoke to in Santa Barbara. So I may have jumped the gun a little bit. I did feel that the appointment was very productive, but I should have waited to do the video until I got they sent me like some notes. They sent me like notes and sort of like a treatment plan and suggestions on, like what, well, not suggestions, like this is what, we should do. Basically a lot of the things that we discussed in the appointment. I did get pricing as well. And pricing links to the tests that she recommended. And then of course, the supplements and things like that. The prices are pretty high, at least for the test. I think she wanted me to get like a parasite test. I think I mentioned it in my video that it's like sent to Africa. I mean, it just, now that I'm listening to it, kind of now that I'm hearing myself say all of this stuff, it sounds kind of ridiculous. Um, so she sent me the link to the guy. There's a guy, I think he's in New Mexico or Arizona. He's a doctor. By the way, the lady that I spoke to is not a doctor. She's a naturopath. So she's an ND, which is a naturopathic doctor. And I just want to be clear to you guys on here that naturopathic doctors, chiropractors, acupuncturists, all of these holistic types of practitioners are not doctors. They are not MDs. They do not have the same type of medical background. And I would approach with caution. And so I was not aware. I think I knew that they had a naturopathic doctor at this practice, but for whatever reason, I assumed that I was going to be talking to an MD, and she is not an MD. And this test, this gut test, they're contracted with this other guy who's in, I think, either New Mexico or Arizona, and he's also, doctor something or other, but he's actually a doctor of like Chinese medicine. So he's like an acupuncturist, energy work type of situation. So once I started to see that, and I saw all of this after the fact, after I made that video, they sent me the whole summary of the appointment. Sorry, my dog is over here. She's really old and senile. So once they sent me that summary and I got the links to all of these different things, I kind of started, seeing everything, and I was like, okay, this is maybe not exactly what I was hoping. And then the cost of this test. So basically, I think it's a fecal test. I think it's fecal blood. It tests you for parasites and I think bacteria, things like that. And it's sent to a university in Africa. Now, I have nothing against, other countries or anything like that, but the price was about, I believe it was $1,400. And I expected the price to be high. I expected the price to be between the $600 and $700 range, which would have been really high. $1,400 is absolutely crazy. So, and of course the other thing is it's being sent out to another country. And as I discussed with her, the reason why I didn't go to Mexico to do stem cells or exosomes is because regulations and stuff are very different in other countries. Even if you are aware and you do know and they do inform you of the rules and regulations, it's still different. It's still, even if they give you a quick summary of it, or they give you paperwork to sign or whatever, you're still not familiar with it. I'm I have family in Mexico. We have a sort of working knowledge of the healthcare system there, but I still did not want to take that risk, especially knowing what could happen if I did stem cells or anything like that. So when it comes to this test being sent to a completely different continent, and again, I'm thinking to myself, how reliable could this test possibly be? Because it has to be sent, obviously, by airplane, and it's not going to get there the next day. I recently did a test, and I think I told you guys about this. I did the heavy metals test through Everlywell, and it took longer than I expected. I mean, I did it like as soon as possible, sent it out, mailed it out like the very next morning, and it still took like over a week to get my results. It took so long to the point that they gave me a partial refund. So to me, if a week was too long, I just can't imagine this test being sent out to Africa. And again, I have nothing against Africa. I actually have a doctor that is, I believe she's African, and I'm actually going to ask her, and ask her and see if she is familiar with the healthcare system and the universities out there, and just kind of get her opinion on it. Because when I went to this man's website, and the guy is not African, he's an American doctor here in the States. Once I saw the whole, he's an acupuncturist, he calls himself a doctor, he has this whole protocol, a protocol that I won't even be able to do. So if they do find parasites, if they do find issues, I won't be able to do this protocol because they use, it's called like a juice protocol where they use like the juices of like plant juices, different kinds of herbs and plants. And it's like, I can't do that because of my oxalate issues and my histamine problems. So I'm kind of looking at it like that's definitely not going to be doable, and it's already giving me a very sketchy vibe. The peptide therapy I'm interested in, but I'm going to have to check with my MD because we've talked about peptides before. But the peptide therapy is the one thing that I really am kind of leaning into. She did recommend some supplements, which I know some of them I won't be able to take because of my digestive problems. But the peptide thing is the only thing that I do feel maybe backed by science or could be a possible help. And it was also pretty expensive, somewhere like in the neighborhood of $300, maybe a little bit more for a 2-month supply, which is not bad. But again, if I react to it, right away, if I start having issues with it right away, that's $300 down the drain because it's a 2-month supply. So I guess I'm willing to eat that. It's still gonna hurt, but a $1,400 test that's going to be sent to another continent that has, live bacteria, parasites, whatever, it just doesn't make sense that it would arrive there and be an accurate test. So that is something that I'm kind of worried about. Then I remembered something that she had told me, and it was kind of a very quick statement that she made, a comment that I've heard before. And for whatever reason, I guess I didn't pay attention. I didn't pay too much attention to it during that appointment because, I felt like she's a very assertive doctor or naturopath or whatever. She's very assertive. She's very like, boom, 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 and I like that in a doctor, in any kind of doctor. But she did make a passing comment, and I didn't mention this in my other video, probably because I didn't remember it at the moment, because I was so amped up. I literally made that video yesterday. Yesterday. I made the video yesterday, like right after the appointment. She's made this comment, and she said, if you don't think something will work, it won't. So she also kind of made that comment of like, I have to have like a certain type of mindset for these things to work. And several years ago, and I made videos about this before, I saw a chiropractor. This was before I was diagnosed with anything. I mean, I was really struggling and having issues. And I saw a chiropractor, and, I dropped, what I thought was a lot of money at the time, probably over $1,000, which looking back now, I'm just like, wow, that was like peanuts in comparison to what I've spent now. I dropped a lot of money with this chiropractor because I didn't know why I was having these muscle issues. And and I think when she saw me pulling away, because I started to realize that the treatments weren't working, and she just kept telling me, you got to keep coming back. And she tried to sell me like a package. It was a package that was like either $3,000 or $5,000, like a package of several treatments. She also did energy work and all that kind of like real woo woo stuff. And her practice was in a very, very expensive area here in down in Orange County. And I think when she saw that I was like not buying into it, she said something very similar to the effect of, if you don't believe in something, it's not going to work. And there is a lot of that um a lot of that belief when it comes to alternative practitioners, naturopaths, chiropractors, um you know all of these types of people that use therapies that aren't really backed by science. And I'm not saying that the therapies don't work because they're not backed by science, but when you already have that front loaded excuse, and I said the same thing about stem cell therapy, that they will say very similar things where they will tell you, you know, the treatment didn't fail because stem cells don't work. It failed because the patient wasn't following like their diet at home, or they didn't continue to do like have a healthy lifestyle, which does happen. But the fact of the matter is that stem cells also just don't work sometimes. Um, and so when I see these front loaded excuses, that's a huge, huge red flag. And so that kind of came back to me today. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, oh, I kind of, don't really like that comment, because if these treatments don't work, it's going to turn, it's going to be my fault. And I'm going to tell you one thing in my experience, in the almost 20 years that I've been sick, if something is going to work, if something is, backed by science, backed by research, it's going to work whether you believe in it or not. And I had that experience with IVIG twice. The first time I used IVIG, I didn't know what it was, had no idea what to expect. I mean, I was totally clueless, and I did not know what it was for. I think my doctor told me it was for an immune deficiency, and it helped my muscle issues. That was a complete surprise. And that's what led me down the path to getting diagnosed with SPS. And so, of course, when I did, and I've told you guys this story before, when I did IVIG for the second time, which was 4 years after the first time, I expected the same results. I expected the same amount of weight gain because I had gotten up to 100 pounds. So I went into it with, you know, a crazy positive mindset, because I knew that this was going, I felt that it was going to be the answer. Well, not the answer, but that it was going to keep me going. And we didn't have the same results the second time around, even though I was expecting the same thing as the first time. It did help. It still did help, but it didn't get me to where I had been the first time around 4 years before. So, when doctors start coming up with this, especially alternative practitioners, alternative medicine practitioners, it is such a huge red flag to me, because I think they're already anticipating like things may not go well, and we're getting this patient to spend thousands of dollars. By the way, another thing, when I say spending thousands of dollars, so I had to pay out of pocket for the blood work that I had already had done, a lot of which I had already had done through insurance. I'm going to have to pay for it again. I'm going to have to do that blood work again. So, because they're going to keep checking levels. So I'm going to have to pay another $500 in, I think, 7 weeks. If I do all the things that she's asked me to do, which is the supplements, the peptides, this fecal test, and all of that, in 7 weeks, I'm going to have to shell out another $500 for blood work. And I was like, this is not sustainable. I mean, the money that I paid for the exosomes was insane, and it's been a horrible experience, and I mean, it's a horrible amount of money to lose, but it was something that I had never tried before, and it was, I didn't I had no other alternatives at that point, or at this point. And this again is just, again, it's blood work that I've gotten done before. My doctor runs this kind of blood work all the time. And there really wasn't anything either. There wasn't really many abnormalities on my blood work. The only stuff that she wanted to improve was stuff that was already in range. The stuff that was out of range, she wasn't even concerned about. So it seems a bit odd to me that I would have to keep paying for blood. Like, what kind of changes are we looking for? We're just looking for numbers to be higher, even though they're still in range. So to me, I was really, when I started to think about it, and like I said, it was productive. They did answer some of my questions about the exosomes, which that was, my primary concern. And they did tell me that they were concerned about the gut issues, that was sort of like the direction that we should go in. And like I said, she was very assertive. She said she was going to refer me to a dentist, which actually I don't think they sent me the referral to the dentist. I may have to follow up with them on that. But, I just, now looking at all the links that they sent me and all of that, it really is making me think. But I am going to talk to my other doctor, the one that did the exosomes, because she is an MD. And I'm going to run all of this by her. Even though I'm kind of upset with her right now, I still, I always kind of use doctors kind of against each other. That way they don't think that one doctor has all of the power and all of the say. And that's why I've gotten all this blood work done with these other doctors, because I don't want her to think that she can just not do blood work and get away with it. And so now she's going to know that I'm speaking with all these different people. So I just wanted to make this sort of, what is it, addendum, this, because I was very excited. Yes, I'm seeing the pricing now, and it is kind of like, it's a bit much for what it is. And of course, my other concern is it being sent out of the United States. I'm not saying that other countries don't know how to test for things, but again, you're dealing with live things. If there's parasites, the parasites have to be alive, or the bacteria has to be alive, or I don't see how that makes sense. And judging by the recent heavy metals test that I did, and that's heavy metals, that's not even live cultures of anything, they gave me a 50% refund because it took over a week. The shipping kind of took a little while, but just the processing of the sample took longer than they expected, and they gave me a refund. And I'm not going to get a refund from this. This is $1,400 that I'm going to spend. And like I said, logically, it makes no sense. And this guy's website also kind of, like I said, he's not a doctor, he's an acupuncturist. And please pay attention to that. Whenever you see someone, any practitioner, you can see whoever you want, but if they are not an MD, really, really tread with caution, because I've had some really bad experiences. There are some people that exclusively see naturopaths and, Chinese medicine practitioners, which there's nothing wrong with Chinese medicine. I have benefited from acupuncture in the past, but this is just, it's approach it with caution, because I hate to say it, they don't have the background and the knowledge. I mean, even MDs don't have the background and the knowledge for patients that are as complex as us. So be very careful. I really wanted to upload this. I will keep you guys updated when I speak to the other doctor. I see my other doctor at the beginning of December. I will be talking to my therapist is actually, I believe, the one from Africa. So I will be talking to her and just kind of getting her opinion on it, because I am not familiar with Africa or the medical system or the education system over there. I don't know much. And I don't know if testing for parasites and those types of pathogens is a specialty of theirs. It could be, because I don't see why the specimen would have to be sent to Africa of all places, unless this is something that they specialize in. So anyways, this video has gone on pretty long. I'm going to upload it. I'm not going to edit it. I just wanted to let you guys know because I've been thinking about this all day, and I like to be thorough with my evaluations, and I should have waited. I should have waited until I got the summary of the visit before making that video, to really fill you guys in. And I should have known that this was a naturopath that I was talking to and not an actual MD. So, anyways, if you have any other questions that you want me to answer, then just leave them down below. Other than that, I will get back to you guys with other information later.